Happy New Year and welcome back to our Marvel Superheroes series covering the great figures from the 1990s, Toy Biz figures that kind of started everything for Marvel. You've seen our other three parts. You know we did wave 1, 2, and 3. Now we're on to wave 4 and 5. Now we're combining these two waves for good reason. Wave 4 was just a straight up reissue for the most part. We have one different Venom here. I think is a different mold, and we're going to check them out with our other mold of Venom. Now this is Screaming Squirts Alien Liquid, and the other one was Living Slime Spores or something like that. So we're going to see the two side by side, and we'll show you what's different about the molds. But these came out in 1993 here, and you can see the packaging with the previous, the first wave back in 1990, nearly identical. The only difference, besides obviously the back of the card, where they don't have those figures in the originals on the back in their own little images, they now have the action figures from other lines there. The other major difference is if you look closely on the front, you can see that additional caution language at the bottom, another warning label. Now these were 93, so that is another easy way to tell. They say 93 versus 90 on the back of them. But they were reissues of most of the figures from the wave. They didn't bring back Silver Surfer. We already got two Silver Surfers, one in chrome, one in standard. Same figure, just two different paint jobs. And then we have this Venom here. He was from, I believe it was 92 originally, or maybe it was 91. 91 was the skinny Venom. Was 92, 91 was the fatter Venom. So we have him again, a little different. He doesn't come with the goo like last time. This time it squirts water, so we'll check him out. The rest of these guys, straight up, just like the originals, so we're not gonna have to go through each one individually. And then we skip forward to 94, the end of the line, and the final wave. Wave of 5, essentially, here. So we have repaints, we have some new figures, and we have another reissue of that multi-jointed Spider-Man. Multi-jointed Spider-Man, kind of hard to tell the difference between a package. The major differences, of course, are only going to be on the back. You're going to see the other figures pictured there, vice the images from the previous Spider-Man card, and you're also going to see the year, say 94 versus 92. So that's how you know if you have a 5th wave Spider-Man versus a 3rd wave Spider-Man. Now, the only other interesting thing about the card backs, and I'll move on after this, is if you look on the back of the 93 reissue for any of the figures, you'll see all the figures there, but you'll see a Spider-Man that never came out with this wave. Now, I think based on the image of the card, he came with the, you'll notice that black web there is from the first issuance of Spider-Man in 1990, the suction cup hand Spider-Man. And then the only Spider-Man to have the hand out in the thwip pose is the multi-jointed Spider-Man. So I think this was just going to be a straight repack of multi-jointed Spider-Man in this wave of repacks with an additional accessory, but he didn't make it. But he did make it immediately the next year as just straight re-release of multi-jointed Spider-Man. So I think that was the intention behind that image that left him out. But there is no 93 Spider-Man. I did extensive research. I did not see one. If anyone finds one, let me know. But there was no 1993 Spider-Man in this line with that black web issued in the regular figure line. I could not find him for the reissues. These should be all the reissue card backs here. And then this is going to be, he appeared on wave 5 here. He's also featured on the card back of this again, but this weird Spider-Man with the multi-jointed look and the additional cobweb did not appear on card back. So he must have been cut. And we saw Toy Biz do that with the Fantastic Four wave. If you watch our videos, we show how they removed Adam Warlock and replaced him with, I believe it was Triton or something, and then Adam Warlock came out the next year. So it's kind of common for waves to shift around after the card backs are printed. So that is your lengthy history lesson here on the card backs of these final two figure waves. So we're going to get in, we're going to check out all the new ones we got and compare them against the older ones as well. All right, we're going to get through by starting with our 1993 repacks, and this is Venom coming from the 1991 issuance, but he's a little different. So he has this little red squirter too. Originally he had this little spider goo thing. I got it in a plastic bag here because I don't want the goo leaking out. And here's the figure. Now he looks very similar to our original Venom here, and I think he pretty much essentially is, although all they did this time is they excluded the cap on the inside. So this thing just connects straight in and you're able to push it out, as opposed to last time you needed to take this plug out, you drop the goo in there, you put the plug in, and it was the whole thing. So this version just doesn't have the internal guts, but essentially it's the same figure, but they did give you a different little accessory with it. So slightly different, and this one kind of sits in there pretty nice. And I honestly think the slime is way better, or I'm sorry, the water is way better for a function than having this slime, because the slime could get stuck in there and goo up the figure, whereas the water is an easy cleanup and it dries. But essentially it is the same figure. I thought the mold would be a little bit different on the back for the distribution here for the function, but all they did is remove the plug. So very easy change for them to just remove that plug and give you essentially quote unquote new figure. But he does have a new accessory, so I will count him in the new figure pile, as opposed to the other characters who do not have any new accessories, and they're virtually the same exact character. Next up, we have Daredevil in his armored outfit here. The pad doesn't acknowledge any difference about him, but he is armored Daredevil, and he's essentially the same Daredevil we had back in 1990. He's just a different paint job, but it does create a different character, I guess. So we do have armored Daredevil, same proportions, same everything to this guy. He even has the same accessory, except as you saw right there, the accessory is now silver instead of black. So we did get a different paint job for not just the character, but for his accessory as well. And now we have essentially a new figure in the line, and that is armored Daredevil. Still a pain to put this in his hand, but once you figure it out, it sits in there nicely, and it has the same fire functionality as the original. So that's really all you get, the Billy Club with the Daredevil figures. I still like the red one, so I know they're trying to sell figures and they're trying to make it easy to do it with just a straight repaint, but that was all you got with the Daredevil there. Next up, we have the Invisible Woman. Now, previously I showed you the Invisible Woman that actually went invisible with the color change sort of gimmick that she had. This version is obviously different. She is solid. She is not invisible at all. The color held up much better here. She still has her Tron-like disc that I guess you can put on her back here. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with this disc. It goes here, but that's really it. She doesn't throw it or anything. It's the same character, the same mold. It has all the same posability as the previous character did. But at this time it is filled in, and it is not transparent like we saw the other one. We kind of struggled with that. It comes with this semi-translucent catapult for her to sit on and then launch off into the air. Now, that might look really familiar to you, especially with that X. Maybe that's because she stole it from Cannonball here, and it even has the X on it still. So this was 1993, and this is 1994. So they straight up just Toy Biz literally just repacked this, poured in a different filament here, so transparent instead of the gray. They even kept the X. I mean, that mold is on there. X for X-Men, X for, I don't know. In this case, Fantastic Four, 4 quadrants on the X, I don't know. But it's the same exact mold, and all they did was just put in the transparent here. Now, if you're wondering where else might I have seen that in Fantastic Four line, if you watched our video, you might remember this guy, the glow-in-the-dark Johnny Storm that came in the first wave of the Fantastic Four line, also had the same exact catapult. Doesn't have the X on it, so they cleared it off when they did this one. So that's really the only difference. They kept it virtually the same here again. Toy Biz likes their catapults. I don't really understand. Like, they only really worked for here for Cannonball because that's his thing. He flew, but they like to include them. I guess they're a fun little gimmick. I don't remember Sue Storm like jumping through the air a whole lot, but she does have her little invisible catapult, and that's what you could do with Sue. Next up, we're going to have the Punisher. Now, this is our third Punisher, if you've been paying attention. We had the cap firing Punisher. We had the real machine gun sounds Punisher with the wind-up. And, well, we had a reissuance of the cap Punisher in the Wave 4. And then we have this Punisher. Oddly enough, I had to buy 2 of these guys because one I got came with 2 of these rifles, as you can see here. So weird that he's a mistake in the package. without all the 4 weapons. Now, the only difference here is he doesn't have his backpack. He doesn't have his machine gun sounds. It's a solid back. So this is a newly molded figure, one with a solid back. Now, I can't really take the jacket off to show you that. I don't want to risk tearing it. But all he does is he's wearing a trench coat, and he has his guns here. So he could hold his I'll give him the pistol because we put the other ones in the other figures. No sounds this time. He's just going to hold his different weapons, and he's going to wear his, creepy looking trench coat. So you might be looking at that and thinking about some of our other videos we did and said, hey, I know another guy that wears trench coat in the Toy Biz line, and that was Gambit. So he too has a little weird trench coat, but you can see it's different. The mold is kind of similar with how they do the seams, but it's a little longer here in the front. It's a different color scheme. It has a collar, unlike Gambit's. This is a solid plastic collar. So they went a little different when they designed this trench coat. It is not the, Gambit trench coat, essentially. We remembered. So he is definitely a newly tooled figure with a newly designed accessory here. So he is completely retooled. He's not a repaint like the other ones because he's got that back filled in, so it's a solid piece there. So they did have a new tool for Punisher, unlike Daredevil, who's a repaint, Sue Storm, who was a repaint essentially with other person's accessories, and Venom, who was kind of just the same figure there. So we're almost all repainted characters here. And speaking of repaints, here we have U.S. Agent. U.S. Agent is a straight up repaint of Captain America. We have him right here. All the same markings. You could even see, it might be hard to see, the white underneath him. He has the star that Captain America has right here because this was raised, and you can see it being painted over with the American flag. So this is the same exact figure, just a repaint to make it a new character because with a different colored shield, and he still has his little launcher that the other Captain America has. So again, same exact figure, just a repaint, making it something new. And that's sort of the trend we're seeing in this wave of repacks and repaints. So he has a shield that you can click in here, and it launches the same way as the shield. You can click in here, and then that's your Captain America / US Agent. So this entire wave, to recap, we have a straight up repaint. We have another straight up repaint. Whoop, who doesn't like to stand? We have another straight up repaint with solid colors this time and the same accessory as last time, plus a little bonus accessory from a different action figure line. We have a newly tooled figure with a jacket on this time, but all the same accessories as we previously got. And then we also have our reissue of Venom with a different accessory. And on top of that, we have straight up reissues, the multi-jointed Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Doctor Doom, and Punisher and Dr. Octopus, in addition to these guys. So pretty much wave 4 and 5 were all reissues. Some were repainted to make new figures, like these 3 here. Some came with some new accessories and a slightly different mold, and some came with just a new accessory. So the only actual new figure here was Punisher, with the and I think his title this time was a full weapon arsenal is what they called him, instead of real machine gun sounds or cap firing. So he was the only new figure. I mean, everyone else was a complete repaint or just a new accessory. But that is what's new from wave 4 and 5. All right, and that covers wave 4 and 5. Now, we included the other figures here for this closing shot. We didn't cover them because they're the exact same figures from wave 1. The only real difference in that wave was the 91 Venom. They slightly tweaked by including this new accessory to make him squirt water. And then we talked about the Spider-Man featured with that wave that was essentially multi-jointed Spider-Man with this little cobweb. He never came out, but they did put him into wave 5, which we didn't cover because we already covered him last time. It's just a straight up issue of the 92 multi-jointed Spider-Man. And then we got repaint, and then kind of new. He's got a coat. It's cool now. And he's a new mold because his back this time is not that giant backpack that was molded on with the machine gun sounds or the cap firing mechanism. It's just a straight figure, although you can't really take the jacket off, so you can't see it. but he is completely enclosed. So these last waves were kind of a whimper. I get people might have missed these the first time around, and this was your chance to get them again when they were reissued in '93. But then we got to '94, and the way they ended the line was just a bunch of repaints of figures you already had, and not so much new. So that was it. We covered all the figures at this point, all 5 waves of characters from 1990 to 1994. But we're not done. There's still a lot more left. There is the electronic talking figures. There are the supersized figures. There are the play sets. There are the vehicles. So we're going to be covering all these in our next 3 segments. We said it was a 7-part series. Next time we'll check out the electronic figures and the supersized figures to completely finish off all the action figures. And then we'll check out the really cool vehicles that were just oddballs. And I think they're just kind of a gem by themselves. And then we'll end it checking out the play sets, because those are pretty awesome. I mean, it's from the golden age of play sets, so we want to go through all those as well. So that's all this time. I hope you enjoyed a little kind of a history lesson as we went through these strange waves here, looking back and looking where they took elements from different figures. And that's something that's a recurring theme with Toy Biz. And then we have some great stuff on the horizon for this. We got a lot in this new year. It's not just going to be their vintage. Of course, we got a ton of new stuff we were going to be showing you as well as we make our way toward March, which is Toy Fair. So we'll be checking out a lot of first-hand exclusives at Toy Fair when we get out there. So stay tuned for all those booth coverage videos that we'll be posting up on this channel right here, as well as our website, cooltoyreview.com. So as always, like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you guys next time.